Here's the unit on benefits and limitations, which I talk about in several e-commerce classes. And I just want to spend a few minutes in this little video giving you an idea of what are the most important points on this page. If I scroll past something, it doesn't mean you don't have to read it. It means the material there is self-evident. The main reason why we have such a page is to better explain to people the broader range of things that internet marketing and a website can do for you, other than just simply helping you sell more. There's a whole bunch of other things, and also by explaining the limitations, you can be more honest in telling people what the things are that can't be done for them. So I've divided this into several parts. Benefits to organizations, consumer society, and limitations divided into technical limitations and non-technical limitations. And as you can see in the list here of the basic benefits of e-commerce, I talk about increasing sales, which is kind of obvious because everybody thinks about that. But the one thing that websites can help a great deal with is decreasing costs. And by decreasing costs, that's the same thing as improving your profit margin, because there's all kinds of things you can put on a website which will save time and save your salespeople money. We'll talk a little bit more about price quotes in more detail, and also expanding and contracting the market. Sometimes expanding the market is helpful because then you have the potential for more customers to have access to you. Contract the market. The reason why you would do that is to reduce the number of people who make contact with your organization that aren't going to buy things. Meaning people that are going to waste time with your salespeople or waste time asking for information, and they end up not really being interested because your target market segment is more narrow. Decreasing costs relates to things such as creating the product, marketing, promotional material. If your company was tortured by the expense of printing up color catalogs for years and years, and you realized that people didn't really look at them as if they wanted to buy the product immediately, it was kind of a waste of all that shiny paper, you could simply put the pictures on a website and cause them to spend money by printing it out on their printer. Also, processing orders, repeat activities, handling customer phone calls, sales inquiries, these are other things that can decrease your costs. Now, in terms of providing price quotes, there's advantages and disadvantages. With this student, Andrea, and DO6 a couple of years ago talks about that, and you should read through that section because there's some good points there. And Jason, who was in the class in 2009, also made some good comments about facilitating distribution with this multimedia player company. Other benefits include pull type processing, reducing your time exposure, meaning if you have a typical scenario where you make stuff, put it in a warehouse, and then it goes through a distribution channel to be sold, that increases the time you have to borrow money from the bank until the final product is sold and the cash reaches back to you. But if you can make it and then immediately sell it on a website, or not even make it but wait for the orders to come in and then make it and sell it, you're reducing your time exposure, which relates to how long you have to borrow money from the bank. Now, the other thing too is to consider that benefits to organizations with their business partners, reducing inventory. Reducing inventory is something all companies are trying to do these days in order to reduce the amount of money that they have to borrow from the bank, and also delivery delays. Benefits to consumers are also self-evident. The phrase here is, by having things on a website, you allow the customer to buy underwear in their underwear. Sometimes products are less expensive online because you don't have the same amount of marketing that goes into the traditional channels. And you can also get more information. Have you ever been into a store and you pick up a box and there's just a few words printed on the outside cover, and you didn't really know if it fit the purpose that you wanted? But if it had a URL of a website, you could go home and look at that, and there could be pages and pages describing how to use a product. There could be audio clips, there could be video, there could be testimonials, there could be YouTube clips of people had bought the product and this is the features that they found most interesting. So there's all kinds of benefits that you can have by having content on the website. There's also benefits to society. I mean, cocooning is a word meaning where people just stay at home and watch burned copies of DVDs on their 55-inch plasma screen TV. And it is a characteristic of our modern society where we don't know our neighbors, and we go to work, we come home, and we have all our high-tech stuff, you know, in our condo or apartment. But there are some benefits in the context of decreasing HR costs for companies because they can have smaller offices and distribute to people that work out of home, and less affluent people can buy more and increase standard of living as well. Now, anytime you talk to people and explain things that are an advantage, it always sounds legitimate if you can also add in some of the things which are a disadvantage. So in this unit on benefits of e-commerce, I also have a section talking about limitations. And my favorite philosopher, Clint Eastwood, said, man's got to know his limitations. If you click on that YouTube clip, you can hear him. So I basically divided these limitations into technical limitations and non-technical limitations. And the points here are self-explanatory. You can see exactly what they're talking about. Some people don't know what tactile means. Tactile means to touch something. So if I wanted to buy an expensive coat from Danier Leather, I might not buy it over the internet, but I might use the internet to find out which coat I wanted, which is in what store and where that location is, the store hours. I might want to take a 20% off coupon from the website, and then I'll still go into the store to buy it. And the rest of it is self-explanatory. So I hope that that's useful information for you to give you an introduction to reading this section on benefits and limitations.